welcome to a how-to video for SAP Business One for creating an item in the system. Now that's done under Item Master Data. And Item Master Data is found in the menu under Inventory and Item Master Data, and it will launch a screen like you see here that I have already brought up. Now it is in what I call find mode here, and this is looking for pieces of information in the system for data that already exists, so items that are already in the system there. So I could type in, item code here, and it would pull up that particular item. But I want to add a new item instead of look for one. So I'm going to go up to my icon bar and I'm going to click Add. And it's going to open up all the fields for me to type in new information. Now in the item number here, it's set under manual as far as a code that we need. This is your internal code that you'll associate with that item. Just know that you can set a numbering series that's done under document numbering in the menu that can auto increment up. So if you don't want to have to know and identify a unique item each time, that is available for you. But for this scenario, we will create a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in test item number 1. So this is my item code that I'm going to see on all of my documents, like sales orders and such. Next piece of information is a description. What is the description that you want to see beside that item code? So we're going to call this test item number 1. Okay. Now, moving on down here, and I will say that the foreign name field here is an optional field. You could use this if you find it valuable, but otherwise you can hide this. And to that note too, within the system there, if you have additional fields that you don't want to use or you don't find any value in, you can hide them under UI configuration. But if you do need them, they're all available here. And in this scenario, you're seeing everything that's available instead of being hidden. But to create less confusion of what needs to be filled out, you could hide things here. Okay, so foreign name, we're going to leave it blank for now, but that is an option. Now, item type, we have the ability to select if it says items, labor, or travel. Those can all be tracked. For this scenario, we're going to do an item. Item groups, you can select different item groups here, or you can create new and assign items to them. And this will be used for data tracking or kind of filtering down what you'd like to see as far as items. So that's an option for you there as well. There is unit of measures and unit of measure groups that can be created. That can be done in a separate video here. And then price list. This doesn't set the price list for this item, but it's more of a display of what the price would be. And if there is a price, it will display here on the right. That's usually for things that are already defined. Now, in the header level up here, we have inventory item, sales item, and purchasing item, and they're done by a series of checkboxes. So, an inventory item is something that you track. So if I buy one, I have one in stock, it's going to track that I have one in stock. Then if I sell one, it will remove that one from stock. So it's tracking how many you have, and that turns that on and off if you want to track that type of thing. Sales item is if it's available for documents such as sales in invoices. So if that's checked, you can sell this item. Purchasing item, can you purchase this item? So if this is checked, you'll be able to use this on purchase order documents and work your way through that side of things. But that is what these 3 checkboxes mean. We're going to leave them all on for now. Now down here under the General tab, again, we have some more information that we can choose to use or not use. We can say if this is tax liable or not. We can choose, manufacturers are defined new if you want to track that information and hold it. Additional identifiers, much like the foreign name field. If you had another kind of an alias for it, you could use that. Whatever you'd want to use that field for. Shipping. Same thing if you want to put in there what you typically use for that item. Then serial and batch numbers. So do you have a need for serial numbers or batch numbers? This is where this is set up. If not, it won't prompt you to assign and or use those in the system. Now down below here we have active, inactive, and advanced. This is just saying, is this an active item, inactive, Advanced is a combo of both, where you can set a from and to ranges. So if you set a to range and that expired, it would either activate or deactivate, that kind of thing based on that. But you can set those here, and the effect that this has on the system is if you're able to use those or if they show up in reports, things like that. But we want to create an active item here. Next tab is purchasing data. Do you have a preferred vendor for this item? Um, and this can be used, on your, purchasing documents, and you can attach this to a vendor if they're in the system there. You can put, and actually to touch back on this, you can put multiple preferred vendors in here if you would like as well, using this ellipsis here and a table. Manufacturer catalog numbers, you can assign a very unique catalog number if this item for the manufacturer has a different number than what you assigned. You could use that. Then units of measure is the next piece here. Now, units of measure, you can teach the system to store purchasing unit of measures and quantities. So let's say I buy this in a box, and it's stored in a quantity of what's in that box. So I buy a box has 1,000. Then whenever I go to buy a box of that, I didn't buy a quantity of 1, I actually have a quantity of 1,000. So purchase order would say 1, inventory would say 1,000. We can define that here. So we can say items, or let's say even eaches, and we can say 1,000. Box, and 1. So in the system there, if I did a purchase order for 1, I'd have 1,000 now. Over here on the right, we can put in some different information as far as measurements. If you would like to hold that information for this item, you can put all that in there. Moving on to the sales data tab. So same concept here that we just went through with purchasing. You can put in sales unit of measures, and packaging unit of measures. Operates very much the same as the purchasing data tab. Same thing here. We can have some unit of measures or some dimensions here. Inventory tab. Now the inventory tab is where we can set a number of things here. The inventory method, we can set it by warehouse, group level, your choice on that one. Do you want to manage your inventory by warehouse? Unit measure name, weights, valuation method, which are options are moving average, standard, and FIFO. And then once we have this information in the system here, and we start interacting with this item a little more, you can see all the warehouses. We can set a default warehouse for it. You could see how many are in stock, committed, ordered, and available. All these numbers will show up, as well as item cost. This is more kind of a review, but also where you can set warehouses, bin locations, things like that. Planning data. If you use material resource planning, you can set that up here. Do you want to use MRP? No. Procurement method, buy and or make. So if you do make this item through production orders, we can identify that. Let's say for this example we won't. We can set order intervals. We can do order multiples, minimum order quantities, lead times, tolerance days. All that can be defined here. Production data. If this is a production item, that'll be set up through bill of materials and used on a production order, but this is where we would set up some production order if this is backflush and or manual. Properties. Now properties are pieces of data if you want to identify some properties on an item that you want to report on later. You can set properties through the menu and properties from property setup and identify different item properties, and then select all that apply, and then you could report on those later. So if you have a need, that is available for you. There's a remarks tab, and a remarks tab here is just general information. Whatever you'd like to put in there attached to this item, you could do that. It's a free text box. You have the ability to add an image to this item by inserting an image. Attachments. Attachments are any file such as PDFs, Excels, Word documents. If you'd like to put those and attach them to the item, you have the ability to do that by clicking Browse and adding it from your local computer. And once there are attachments in here, you can display those and or delete them. Now going back to our General tab here, when we're ready with all of our information on this test item, at the very bottom left here, we can click Add, and it's going to add it to the system, and now that item is now in the system. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please reach out to us here at Support One with any questions. Click on the link to subscribe for more content.